Hey there, welcome to the Uplift. We've got a great show for you, a great cast of characters as well. Among them, a dog named Lucky, who helped his owner make a stunning discovery on the side of the road. What they find, we will tell you. Plus, a veteran who found a unique way to cope after experiencing disaster while deployed. And a man who has explored the world, but it's what he's accomplished in his personal life that is so inspiring. Plus, a physics professor who uses her own brand of fun to make science enjoyable for not just thousands, but millions of people. And a nonprofit that acts as a fairy godmother to girls on their way to prom. What's its mission? It hangs on a hanger. Find out. Watch The Uplift. Hey there, I'm Tony DeCopel. This is the show that lifts you up for the next 30 minutes, you and me as well. It's called The Uplift for a reason, and we are going to begin with a professor who is making physics fun, inspiring her students in her own classroom and also on social media. Here's Jamie Wax.
Ready, set, go!
The way Dr. Tatiana Yerokimova sees it, physics is real-world magic. And with a little training,
All right, next!
anyone can become a real-world magician.
Will the potato drop? Let's check.
Videos of her experiments have ignited people's curiosity online, racking up tens of millions of views over the last 2 years.
You cannot explain much in these short clips, but you can get people interested.
It's a spark. It may start a fire.
You can inspire, you get this spark. I will tell you, we filmed our demonstrations, and I never ever put myself there. I speak funny. What's the point?
People love the way you
What's
speak.
the point? No, I never wanted to be in this videos. Students wrote the scenarios. Students were thinking how to explain it. Students starred in these videos showing these demonstrations.
She always wants everything to be like a celebration of science.
We met 3 of Yerokimova's former students, 2 of whom work in the world of physics today. They all share a special connection to the woman they affectionately call Dr. Tatiana.
You walk into Dr. Tatiana's classroom and you can tell she wants you to be there. And not only that, she wants to be there. She cares and she wants you to learn, and that makes you want to learn.
She never makes you feel like you have to listen, like I know everything. She wants to hear everything that you have to say, so that way you can create something together.
Dr. Tatiana's own story starts thousands of miles away, about 6 hours northeast of Moscow, before the breakup of the Soviet Union. She was raised by 2 physicists, and she married, you guessed it, a physicist. In 1999, she and her husband Alexei moved to College Station, Texas, where they both teach today.
Was it just complete culture shock, or did you know you were home?
Of course, I did not feel home, but you make it home.
Pressure from inside, just difference in pressure!
Over the last 20 years, that home has sounded a lot like this. When she isn't teaching, Dr. Tatiana is doing outreach, blowing the minds of future scientists.
And let me run!
Unexpected and very excited.
You were part of this study with 10,000 students, and physicists, and people in sciences. And the result was that men are no better acclimated towards this than women.
Over 10 years, there were no consistent difference between a male and female performance on this exam scores. I felt that this is a very important message for my students.
She's one of my role models, and I hope
Students like Afia Danani, who came to A&M after seeing Dr. Tatiana's videos.
watching Dr. Tatiana do the experiments online, especially since she was a female leader, was more inspiring for me to even go into physics.
My very first semester, I wasn't at class that morning, and she looked at the people that were sitting next to me. She was like, "Where is Callie? Like, you need to call her right now and make sure that she's okay." I just overslept past my alarm. I was like, wow, like she knows when, she notices when you're not there.
What would you want her to know about what she's done for you?
Everything that she did to push me throughout my undergrad, I've sort of learned how to do that for myself. So I can be my own advocate now because of her.
What would you like to do that you haven't done?
To start new programs.
To keep to just not stop.
So not stop. No, not stop.
Yeah, I think she will start those new programs. Jamie, great piece. Coming up, with prom on the horizon, teenage girls get help from a fairy godmother through a nonprofit called the Glass Slipper. What exactly do they do? We will get into it after the break. Plus, our heartwarming videos, there's one of them, all of them, you've got to see. Stick around. We have a heartwarming story for you now, coming from the Orange County Sheriff's Office in Florida, where Deputy Hal Davis fulfilled a dream this month. Davis was temporarily paralyzed last year when a tree limb fell on him. He spent about a year in physical therapy, pretty intense physical therapy, in fact, learning how to walk again with one big goal in mind. He wanted to walk his daughter, Hannah, down the aisle. Davis achieved his goal just earlier this month. There he is. Congratulations to him. All right, to our next video. 83-year-old Ernie Taylor of Butler, Pennsylvania, say hello to him if you see him, has an interesting support animal. It's a duck by the name of Gertrude. Gertrude, she of the Beethoven hair there, is a 6-year-old crested Peking. Not an official support animal, doesn't have the paperwork, don't ask to see it, but she does a lot with Ernie, including going to the store with him. There she is, there's Ernie. Ernie's family runs a duck and goose rescue. They've got about 90 animals overall, but Gertrude is special and lives inside the house. She often goes viral on Instagram as well, and I mean, for obvious reasons. Look at that hair. All right, Ernie, well done. Okay, like Cinderella's fairy godmother, there is a nonprofit called Glass Slipper, and it's swooping in to make sure students are ready to go to the ball. Or the prom. The prom is also a good option. Here's CBS Sacramento's Sakura Gray.
Sparkly dresses and sky-high heels. The Glass Slipper is a nonprofit stepping in as a fairy godmother before prom. They're making sure girls who were in or are in the foster care system have a chance to feel glamorous.
We want them to feel like they are VIP and they're coming into the most beautiful salon and getting their hair and their makeup and jewelry. We want them to feel like they are royalty and they can choose whatever dress they want, and it's for that.
100% volunteer driven, relying solely on donations. Co-director Jennifer Kidwell says the community stepped up, bringing this boutique shopping experience to life.
For us, it was, let's bring an amazing experience to them where they can shop for everything, things that maybe they couldn't otherwise afford or have as a selection for them, and they'd be able to take everything for free.
Kidwell's mother founded the Glass Slipper back in 1997. The two now get to see the organization's impact together.
I just really want these kids to know that the community just supports and cares about their future. I want them to have an experience that'll be an amazing shopping experience, but the underlying message of that is that they are beautiful, they have intrinsic value, and that they have the potential to just change their world.
Volunteers making sure these girls have their Cinderella moment. After all, it's the little things and the shiny ones that can make a difference.
Nifty line there and a great story. All right, coming up in just a moment, a Massachusetts man and his dog make a lucky discovery on the side of the road. What was it? We will tell you. Plus, an Afghanistan veteran who lost his leg and then experienced PTSD from what he saw over there, well, he's found a unique way to cope thanks to an organization right here in the U.S. We introduced you now to a veteran who lost his leg and then developed PTSD, all after a tragic incident in Afghanistan serving this country. But he found a special way to cope back here in the U.S. Here's CBS New York's John Diaz with that story.
I feel comfortable. It's my safe zone.
For someone who knows danger as well as Army veteran Alfredo de los Santos, finding that level of protection is a blessing. Finding it in art is a gift.
It's a natural high. Whenever I feel like I'm losing my mind, this is what helped me. Everything you see here is nightmares, frustrations, body parts, things that emotionally been bothering me.
To understand his pain, you have to know his backstory. In 2008, while on deployment, the Army sergeant stared death in the face.
I was in Garesh in Afghanistan, and we got into an ambush, and I got hit with an RPG. I was in a vehicle. I was the gunner, and it blew up.
That tragic incident led to many complications: hearing loss, head trauma, PTSD, and the loss of his leg. He spent 2 months placed in a medically induced coma and 2 years in the hospital.
And that's pretty much what I had to learn, how to be a human being all over again. I had to learn how to walk, how to talk.
It wasn't easy.
You can imagine what I was going through. I was medicated all the time. I was suicidal.
But this brave veteran will tell you the recovery process got better when it led him to Semperfi and America's Fund, a nonprofit that provides lifetime support to injured service members.
You guys helped them get to the finish line, right?
Definitely, definitely.
Janine Canty is a senior director at the fund. She says in almost 20 years, the nationwide organization has helped more than 29,000 veterans. Cutting through the red tape, they provide services so vets can get the tools they need right away to start their new normal.
Often there are expenses that can't be covered by, the military, even if they're on travel orders, so we can fill in the gaps.
The fund provided enough money for Alfredo to get a hand cycle, which he now uses to compete professionally. But it's the art materials and tools the fund pays for which truly helps him decompress and has turned him into an advocate for art therapy.
When I'm doing this, it's like I don't think about the pain. There's no pain. It's a way to control the demons. They're still hunting me.
Helping to turn the nightmares into nights of ease for him and anyone going through the same battles.
I was afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
All right, John, nice piece. To our next story. While walking his dog, a dog named Lucky, a Massachusetts man happened upon, well, a little bit of luck. Here's CBS Boston's Julie McDonald with the story.
Rick Saulnier of Groveland is still getting to know the newest member of his family, but after only a few weeks, the dog's sweet name suits him.
Come on, Lucky.
They're still working out their new route and routine, making last week's walk so surprising.
Without him, I wouldn't have gone down there. So that's why we're calling him Lucky.
Strolling down Rollins Street, a big pile of cash caught Rick's eye.
I saw it on the side of the road. I thought it was Monopoly money. The cash was about $8,000, and the checks made it up to $12,000. So that's a good amount of money,
Rick joked with his wife about taking a trip to Encore, but that's just not the kind of neighbor that he is. He dropped off Buddy and came straight to Groveland police, who were delighted by the good deed.
It made their day, they said, because a lot of people might not have done that. I don't know. I'm hoping that this shows people that that's what you're supposed to do.
Turns out the money had flown off a neighbor's car on their way to the bank. It was returned to that grateful small business owner who later stopped by Rick's house to shake his hand and say a sincere thank you.
Well, yeah, I always feel like I have my own integrity, and that's the one thing they can't take away from you. I would hope that somebody would do that for me.
Wow, not only lucky for him, but lucky for the small business owner. That is quite a gesture. Well done. All right, coming up, an explorer who has been to the furthest corners of this planet, the highest mountaintops, you name it. And when tragedy struck, he did not let it prevent him from doing the thing he loves.
To be able to go back to a place that has been such an important part of my life, to see it again when I thought I would never do anything again, for me, feels like the right thing to do.
Eric Larson has been to the North Pole, the South Pole, and Mount Everest all in the same year. That would be one 365-day stretch. But it's the mountain he conquered in his personal life that makes him the most inspiring. Here's David Begnail.
Eric Larson is packing for a trip he never thought he'd make. A journey to the North Pole. It's not the destination that he assumed was out of reach. He's been to the North Pole 6 times already.
North Pole!
What's incredible is that he's able to travel again at all. You see, back in 2021, the 51-year-old Larson was diagnosed with colon cancer. He says the doctors told him it was terminal.
Hearing that news and trying to think about what those few years would be like with my family and my young kids was, to say it was difficult is the extreme understatement.
But the prognosis was wrong. The cancer was survivable, though the treatment was debilitating. 6 rounds of chemotherapy, radiation, and 14 inches of his colon removed.
What was your lowest point during the cancer?
I mean, how much time do you have? There are so many low points. When I had surgery to remove the cancerous area of my colon, I had a very difficult recovery. I was on oxycodone. I was in bed. I couldn't sleep. And I would wake up in the middle of the night and just try to walk around the room. I could barely get out of bed. It was so much pain.
Larson always had a major advantage on most people because years of adventure taught him how to survive in the harshest conditions. He is, after all, one of the world's leading polar explorers. In 2006, he and a partner did the first ever summer expedition to the North Pole. In 2010, he became the first person to journey to the North Pole, the South Pole, and Mount Everest in the same year.
Long day, cold wind. I think with the wind chill, it was close to 60 below.
How many times have you almost died doing this?
I've fallen through the ice. I've been stalked by polar bears. I've been in a lot of very precarious situations over the years. And you get a little bit of a gallows humor with that, you know, in the sense like, oh, that was close. Let's just keep going.
The cancer is what grounded him. One of the chemo drugs diminished what he calls his superpower, the ability to withstand cold.
Opening the refrigerator to putting a glass of cool water to my lips and have intense pins and needles instantly impact whatever area that cold was touching was debilitating. And I live in a cold environment too, so it's not just about opening the refrigerator, but it's going outside, like actually getting to the chemo treatment was a major obstacle.
Still, though, he never lost his passion for polar exploration, even though he calls it one of the most boring sports.
What is it about going to the extreme that really does it for you?
What I do is just part of who I am. I don't wake up in the morning and say, oh, why am I going to do this? I just do it. And so it's just how I was built.
What makes it boring, though?
You're traveling across a big, vast, white nothingness. Oftentimes, you know, I've spent days and weeks in conditions where the visibility is like being on the inside of a ping pong ball. You can't even see the horizon.
But now he's looking clear across that horizon, back to adventure and back to the North Pole.
I get the notion of doing this before you have cancer. But after you survive cancer, why put your body through that again?
That's a good question. And it's one that I'm wrestling with, quite honestly. I don't like being away from my family as much anymore. But to be able to go back to a place that has been such an important part of my life, to see it again when I thought I would never do anything again, for me, feels like the right thing to do.
This time, he's headed to the North Pole as a guide. to show others what most of us will never get to experience. You see, we can't all relate to his record-setting life, but we can relate to pain and newfound perspective.
I'm talking to a man who set out to explore some of the far-flung places of the earth, but am I also looking at a man who's still searching to find himself?
Yeah. You know, I used to go on these trips and I thought if I could do the hardest thing for as long as I could, I would have an epiphany where it all came clear, that I would know everything. And what I've realized is that's never going to happen. I'm still looking for the answers that I know I'll never find, but the search has value and the effort has value in my mind, and coming back has value.
There's a picture that's worth the journey. If the answers are out there, I think David Begnaud will find them. Always nice to have him playing cleanup here. That's the end of our show. I hope it brightened your day and lifted you up. I'm confident it did. If for some reason it didn't, reruns are free. I'm going to go find some more good news. See you next time.